Hello everyone, our topic is all about agrarian reform from the Spanish colonial to the present.
So again, we will tackling about agrarian reform from the Spanish colonial to the present. So in this topic, we must understand what are the differences of agrarian reform and land reform. So, what is agrarian reform? The term agrarian is derived from the Latin word ager, which means a field. Lexically, the word agrarian means relating to land or ownership or division of land. On the other hand, reform presupposes something is defective, hence, need reformation and correction. Kapag sinasabing agrarian reform, ito ay isang sistema kung paano gumawa ng isang titulo sa isang lupain o kung paano gumawa ng isang titulo na pagmamayari ng isang tao. Ito rin ay nagsasaad ng mabuting relasyon ng isang landowners and farmers. Ang agrarian reform ay hindi lang ibinabahagi ang mga lupa sa mga magsasaka, kundi pinapataas din ito ang level ng mga taong nasa laylayan upang mabigyan sila ng mas maraming oportunidad upang umangat at makamtan ang magandang buhay. The next one is land reform. Land reform has gained great significance all over the world as it seems to achieve social justice and full development of human dignity. Throughout time, the issue of land reform has been persistent, demanding measures to social unrest. The poor economic and social conditions of the peasants in the Philippines needed to immediate agrarian reform measures by the Philippine government. Pag sinasabing land reform, ito ay redistribution of land. Ang land reform ay isang sistema upang maibahagi ang mga lupain sa mga magsasaka. In the past, wala pa tayong konsepto kung paano gumawa ng isang titulo sa isang lupain. Kaya sinasabi na land is power dahil until now, ang presyo ng lupa ay hindi bumababa at ito ay patuloy na umaangat. Ang land reform ay inilikha upang wakasan ang hindi patas ng mga kasanayan sa pagmamayari ng lupa sa pamamagitan ng paghati sa lupain at pagbibigay ng wastong dokumentasyon sa mga narapat na may-ari nito o mga benepisyaryo ng reforma sa agrikultura. Kasama sa mga benepisyaryo ang mga magsasaka, manggagawa sa bukid, walang ari ng lupa, at mga nangungupahan na nagtatanim ng lupa sa loob ng maraming taon.
The next topic is agrarian reform in pre-Spanish period. Filipinos already lived in villages and barangays even before the Spaniards came to the Philippines. The settlements were ruled by chieftains or datus who comprised the nobility. They were also the mahalikas or freemen, the aliping mamamahay serfs, and aliping sa gilid-gilid or slaves. In the past, before the Spaniards came here in our country, we live in villages and barangays and until now. So, pinamumunuan tayo ng chieftains or datus and there are also people called aliping mamamahay and aliping sa gilid-gilid. I will not explain it thoroughly because we already know that their differences. Despite the existence of a social structure, everyone had access to the fruits of the soil. Rice was the medium exchange as money was yet unknown. Please be noted that everyone had access to the fruits of the soil. Why everyone had access to the fruits of the soil? Based sa mga nasabi ko, nung sinaunang panahon hindi pa natin alam ang konsepto at kung paano gumawa ng isang titulo kaya halos lahat o sino man ang may kakayahang makakuha ng prutas sa isang lupain. Rice was the medium exchange as money was yet unknown. So, in pre-Spanish period, hindi pa natin alam ang konsepto ng pera noon. Kaya the medium of exchange or the trades was rice. Ang ginagamit na konsepto noon ay barter concept. The next one is Spanish period. The Spaniards introduced the concept of encomienda to the Philippines. Encomienda was a system of giving lands, royal land grants, to the Spanish conquerors that were loyal to the Spanish monarch. Encommenders must defend this encomienda from external attack, maintain peace and order within, and support the missionaries. In turn, the encomenderos were given the right to collect taxes or tribute from the Indios or natives. Because of this, encomenderos started to abuse their power by renting their lands to powerful landlords and the natives who once freely cultivated the land and became share tenants. Spaniard period, ang mga Spanish ay nag-introduce ng konsepto na tinatawag na encomienda. Ang encomienda ay isang sistema na Ginawa ng royal monarch o mga taong dugong bughaw kung saan binibigyan nila ng oportunidad ang mga Spanish conquerors na maging matagumpay o nanalo sa kanilang misyon. Binibigyan nila ng isang lupain upang maalagaan at ma-cultivate nila ito ng mas mabuti at tinatawag silang encomenderos. The next is agrarian uprising. Taxation was not the reason for the revolts of the Filipinos during the Spaniards period but the agrarian unrest as well. Bakit may agrarian unrest? May agrarian unrest dahil may mga magsasakang wala ng kita dahil gaya ng sinabi ko kanina, binabayad nila ang kanilang kita sa mga buwis na ginagawad ng mga encomenderos. Kaya may agrarian unrest. The Agrarian Revolt happened between 1745 to 1746 in Batangas, Laguna, Cavite, and Bulacan. The towns involved are the Lion and the Sugbu in Batangas. The agrarian conflicts reached the ear of King Philip VI, who appointed Oidor to investigate the charges against the religious order as well as the validity of their titles to the said lands in the question. Ang agrarian conflict ay umabot sa pinuno ng Espanya na si King Philip VI at nag-appoint siya ng isang oidor to investigate ukol sa isyong iyon. Dahil nga sa wala pa tayong sistema kung paano gumawa ng titulo. The friars were ordered to submit their titles to a secular judge, however they refused to comply claiming an ecclesiastical exemption. Ang mga pare, they refused to submit their title dahil ayon nga sa kanila, hindi nila gustong mapasailalim sa kapangyarihan ng Spanish government dahil they are a different entity from the government. They are a religious entity kasi. Ang Santo Papa ang namumuno sa kanila kaya tinatawag silang ecclesiastical exemption. The said arguments were disposed and the lands were returned and restored to the crowd. At nabalik sa pamahalaang Kastila ang lupain. Subsequently, the friars won their case and retained the disputed lands, and their ownership of the lands remained intact even after the Spanish regime. So, dito nagkaroon ng problema. Ang tanong, pagkatapos umalis ng mga Espanyol sa Pilipinas, sino ang humawak ng mga lupa? Malalaman po yan sa next discussion, which is i-report ni Ms. Reka.
Good day everyone, I'm Reka Loris Gamos. I am assigned to report the First Philippine Republic, American period 1898 to 1935, Commonwealth period 1935 to 1942, and Japanese occupation. I'm excited to share my findings and insights with you on this topic. First, the First Philippine Republic. The First Philippine Republic was established in 1899 under the leadership of General Emilio Aguinaldo. Ang pangunahing layunin ng pamahalang ito ay kumpiskahin ang mga lupaing pag-aari ng mga prailing Kastila at iba pang malalaking ari-arian upang muling ipamahagi sa mamamayang Pilipino. The Malolos Constitution, which was imprinted during this time, outlined the principles and values of the Republic and established a system of government. However, the First Philippine Republic was short-lived as it faced numerous challenges and conflicts. One of the main issues was the lack of support and recognition from the international community, which hindered the Republic's ability to effectively govern and defend itself against external threats. Bukod pa rito, ang mga paloob na salungatan at tanggalian sa loob ng Republika ay nag-aambag din sa pagbagsak nito. Sa kabila ng mga pagkukulang nito, nananatiling mahalagang bahagi ng kasaysayan ng Pilipinas, ang unang Republika ng Pilipinas. Dahil ito ang naging simula ng pagsisikap ng bansa na magkaroon ng kalayaan at magtatag ng soberanong pamahalaan. The Malolos Constitution in particular serves as a reminder of the Republic's mission for a more equitable and just society. This second topic was about American period 1898 to 1935. During the American period in the Philippines, several significant pieces of legislation were enacted that impacted land ownership and regulation in the country. Ang Philippine Bill of 1902 ay nagtakda ng mga limitasyon sa halaga ng lupa na maaaring makuha ng mga pribadong individual at korupsyon, na may maximum na 16 na hektarya para sa mga individual at 1,024 na hektarya para sa mga korupsyon. Ang Land Registration Act of 1902 ay nagtatag ng isang komprehensibong sistema para sa pagpaparehistro ng mga titulo ng lupa sa ilalim ng sistemang Torrens, habang ang Public Land Act of 1903 ay nagpasimula ng homestead system sa Pilipinas. Finally, the Tenancy Act of 1933 regulated the relationships between landowners and tenants of rice and sugarcane, requiring a 50-50 sharing arrangements. These pieces of legislation had significant impacts on land ownership and regulation in the Philippines. During the American period, the torrent system, which was introduced in the United States as a method of registering land titles, did not completely solve the issue of land ownership and disputes. It was found that some individuals were either unaware of the law or unable to pay the necessary survey and application fees to obtain a torrents title. Commonwealth period 1935 to 1942. Sa panahon ng Commonwealth sa Pilipinas, ipinatupad ni Pangulong Manuel L. Quezon ang programang Hustisya Panlipunan. Sa pagsisikap na tugunan ang lumalalang kaguluhang panlipunan sa gitnang Luzon, bilang bahagi ng programang ito, ilang mahalagang piraso ng batas ang pinagtibay, kabilang ang 1935 Constitution na nagsasaad na ang pagtataguyod ng katarungang panlipunan upang matiyak ang kailangan at pang-ekonomiyang seguridad ng lahat ng tao ay dapat maging alalahanin ng Estado. Another notable piece of legislation was Commonwealth Act No. 178, which aimed to provide controls in landlord-tenant relationships and was enacted on November 13, 1936. These efforts suggest a focus on addressing issues of economic security and fairness in land ownership and tenancy during this period of Philippine history. Ang karagdagang pananaliksik at pagsusuri ay maaaring magbigay ng mga pananaw sa pagiging epektibo ng mga hakbang na ito at ang epekto sa hustisyang panlipunan sa Pilipinas. The National Rice and Corn Corporation, or NARIC, was a Philippine government agency established in 1936 with the primary purpose of setting the prices of rice and corn in order to help poor tenants and consumers. Ito ay malamang na nilayon upang patatagin ang mga presyo at gawing mas abot kaya ang mga pangunahing pagkain para sa mga nahihirapan sa pananalapi. In 1937, the Commonwealth Act No. 461 was passed, which specified that the reason for the dismissal of tenants and required the approval of the tenancy division of the Department of Justice in order for such dismissals to be carried out. This act may have been intended to protect the rights of tenants and ensure that they were not unfair. Rural Program Administration. Lumilitaw na ang Rural Program Administration ay nilikha sa Pilipinas noong 1939 na may layunang magbigay ng tulong sa mga komunidad sa kanayunan. Kabilang ang pagbili at pag-upa ng mga asyenda at ang kanilang pagbebenta o pagpapaupa sa mga nangungupahan. This may have been intended to improve the living and working conditions of Filipino people in rural areas and to promote economic development in these regions. The same year, Commonwealth Act No. 441 was enacted, establishing the National Settlement Administration. This agency was created with a capital stock of 20 million pesos, possible na ang National Settlement Administration ay nilayon na magtrabaho kasama ang Rural Program Administration upang suportahan at pababuti ang mga kondisyon sa mga kanayunan ng Pilipinas. Japanese occupation. The Japanese occupation of the Philippines during World War II began in 1942 when Japanese forces invaded and took control of the country. Sa panahon ito, lumakas ang mga organisasyon ng mga magsasaka at panggagawa at maraming magsasaka ang sumapi sa grupong anti-Hapones sa kilala bilang Hukbalahap o hukbo ng bayan laban sa Hapon. Ang ilang mga Panginoong may lupa na sumusuporta sa mga Hapon ay nawala ang kanilang mga lupain sa mga nagsasaka, habang ang mga sumusuporta sa mga magsasaka ay nakakuha ng mga nakapirming upa na pabor sa mga nangungupahan. Gayunpaman, ang pagtatapos ng tingmaan ay minarkahan din ang pagtatapos ng mga natamo ng mga magsasaka sa panahon ng pananakop.
President Manuel Rojas, 1946 to 1948. During the Rojas administration, they enacted the following laws. Republic Act No. 34 established the 7-30 sharing arrangement and shared tenancy contracts regulating. Si President Manuel Rojas ang ikalimang Pangulo ng Pilipinas. Sa panahon ni Manuel Rojas, naipatupad ang tenant net na kung saan ay nahati sa porsyento na maaaring kamtan ng isang landlord at isang tenant ang kanyang magiging kita pagdating sa makukuha mula sa lupa. 70% ang mapupunta sa mga landlord, samantalang 30% naman ang mapupunta sa mga tenants. Kaugnay pa nito, sa Tenant Act ay nagkaroon rin ng regulated shared tenancy na kung saan ay hindi maaaring tanggalin ng mabilisan o ganun-ganun na lamang ang mga magsasaka kung walang lupa sa lupain ng isang landlord. Dapat ito ay nasa maayos na pag-uusap at hindi nakakasagabal sa mga tenants. Ang sumunod na batas ay ang Republic Act No. 55 provided for a more effective safeguard against arbitrary ejectment of tenants. Dito naman, hindi basta-bastang evict yung tenant doon sa lupaing binubungkal niya kung ikaw yung landowner ng walang due process. President Elpidio Quirino, 1948 to 1953. President Elpidio Quirino was the second president of the Independent Republic of the Philippines. He served as vice president under Manuel Rojas, becoming president upon Rojas' death in 1948. He issued Executive Order No. 355 issued on October 23, 1950, replaced the National Land Settlement Administration with the Land Settlement Development Corporation or La SEDECO, which takes over the responsibilities of the Agricultural Machinery Equipment Corporation and the Rice and Corn Production Administration. The reason why La SEDECO was established to accelerate and expand the passenger settlement program of the government. However, due to post-war resources, the program has successful. Sa kanyang pamumuno, maayos na nakabangon ang bansa mula sa World War II. Ngunit sa kabila nito, nabigong lutasin ni Quirino ang problemang agregaryo at pantay na antas ng pamumuhay, lalo na sa malalayong pook sa bansa. Naging dahilan ito ng pag-igting muli ng paghihimagsik ng hukbalahap. Si Quirino ang kauna-unahang presidente ng bansa na sinubukang patalsikin sa pwesto sa pamamagitan ng impeachment process sa kabila ng mga akusasyon sa kanya. Ang nepotismo at hindi paggamit ng kaban ng bayan sa tamang pamamaraan. Bagamat hindi napatunayan ito ang naging nagsulong kay Ramon Magsaysay upang tumiwalik sa Partidong Liberal at lumipat sa Nasyonalista Party upang tumakbo. Katunggali ni Quirino sa pangpanguluhang halalan noong ika-1953. President Ramon Magsaysay, 1953 to 1957. Ramon Magsaysay created the following laws. Republic Act No. 1160 of 1954 abolished the Lasidico and established the National Resettlement and Rehabilitation Administration, or NARA, to resettle dissidents and landless farmers. It was particularly aimed at rebel returnees, providing home lots and farmlands in Palawan and Mindanao. Itinuturing ng kasaysayan ang kanyang administrasyon bilang pinakamalinis na pamahalaan mula sa korupsyon. Sa katunayan, kinilala ang Pilipinas noon bilang second finest and well-government country sa buong Asya. Tumutok sa pagpapatayo ng sektor ng agregaryos si Magsaysay, kabilang sa mga batas na kanyang isinulong upang maisakatuparan ang kanyang mithiin ay ang pagpapatatag ng Resettlement and Rehabilitation Administration or NARA na nagbibigay ng lupa sa mga wala nito. Higit na itinuon ang proyekto para sa mga rebel returnees na naninirahan sa Palawan at Mindanao. Pangalawa, Republic Act No. 199 Agricultural Tenancy of Act of 1954 governed the relationship between landowners and tenant farmers by organizing a shared tenancy and leasehold system. The law provided the security of the tenure of tenants. It also created the Court of Agrarian Relations. Ito ay nagbibigay ng seguridad sa mga magsasaka ng lupang hindi nila pagmamay-ari. Pangatlo, Republic Act No. 1400 Land Reform Act of 1955 created the Land Tenure Administration or LTA, which was responsible for the acquisition and distribution of large tenanted rice and corn lands over 200 hectares for individuals and 600 hectares for corporations. Lastly, Republic Act No. 821, Creation of Agricultural Credit Cooperative Financing Administration, provided small farmers and share tenants loan with low interest rates of 6 to 8%. Unfortunately, he didn't finish his term in the presidency kasi namatay siya in a plane crash noong March 17, 1957 sa edad na 49. President Carlos Garcia, 1957 to 1961. He continued the programs of President Ramon Magsaysay. There was no new legislation passed. Siya ang ika-4 na Pangulo ng Republika ng Pilipinas who succeeded the presidency after the death of President Ramon Magsaysay, continued the program.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Diana Rose A. Filin, one of the group reporter of Group 8. Si Diosdado Pangan Macapagal ay pinanganak noong September 28, 1910 sa San Nicolas, Lumbao, Pampanga. Si Diosdado Pangan Macapagal, September 28, 1910, siya ay ang ika-9 na Pangulo ng Republika ng Pilipinas. Nasa pwesto noong Disyembre 30, 1961 to 1965 na makikita sa 200 piso ng Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Ayon sa Republic Act ni President Macapagal ng 1961 to 1965, Republic Act 3844, ang batas nito ay tungkol sa the title of the land, the agriculture, land reform. Ang deklarasyon ng patakaran ay ang mga matatag ng sariling cultivatorship at economic size farm bilang batayan ng Philippine agriculture at sa landlord capital. Sa landlord, sa industrial development upang lumikha ng istrukturang pang-ekonomiya sa pag-uugali ng agrikultura at upang gawing mas protektibo sa ating bansa upang magkaroon ng mas maraming kita upang ilapat ang pagkakapantay-pantay mula sa mga manggagawa at sa walang diskriminasyon sa mga kita sa sahod sa industriya at agrikultura. Si Ferdinand Emmanuel Idrahen Marcos Sr. ay isang politiko, abogado, diktador, pinanganak noong September 11, 1917 sa Sarat, Ilocos Norte. Siya ay ika-10 Pangulo ng Republika ng Pilipinas mula Desyembre 30, 1965 to Pebrero 1986. Ayon sa Proclamation ni Marcos 1081 or martial law, it is declared due to an existing threat to the Philippines government. Martial law is the extremely and rare measure to use to control society during war or period of civil unrest or chaos. Ang martial law ay imposition ng military power over resignation region on an emergency basis. During that time, merong curfew na once na makita ka ng mga militar, ikukulong kanila at walang boses ang mga mamamayang Pilipino dahil kahit yung mga radyo and news ay hawak or tinatawag na komunista para din to sa security natin sa mga terrorists. Martial law is more than just one particular narrative. Some would tell you a lot of good about it while others would tell much about the unfortunate events caused by the so-called dictatorial regime. It's hard to tell about something you have not had experience first-hand enough to witnesses and tell unbiased perspective. What we know today, too, is the truth that the terrorist organization shielding behind their communist ideals, namely NPA, NDF, CPP, the core reason as to why martial law was implemented continue to exist and deceive our gullible youth today. Moreso those top learners of University of the Philippines being recruited to the rebel army. Ayon sa nabanggit, NPA, New People Army, founded March 29, 1969, leader Jose Maria Sison. Motives: establishment of a people's democratic government through proletarian revolution. Next, NDF, National Democratic Front of the Philippines, founded April 24, 1973. Leader, Jose Maria C. Sison and Satur Ocampo. Next, CPP, Communist Party of the Philippines, founded December 26, 1968. Leader, Jose Maria C. Sison. Si Corazon Aquino ipinanganak noong Enero 25, 1933 sa Paniki, Tarlac. Siya ang ika-11 Pangulo ng Republika ng Pilipinas at siya ang kauna-unang babaeng naluklok sa nasabing pwesto noong Pebrero 25, 1986 hanggang Hunyo 30, 1992. Tinagurian siyang ina ng demokrasya dahil sa pagsuporta niya sa pagpapanumbalik ng demokrasya sa Pilipinas. Ayon sa Republic Act No. ni Corazon Aquino 6657, muling pamamahagi ng pribado at pampubliko mga lupang agrikultural upang matulungan ang mga benepisyaryo na mabuhay bilang maliliit na independenteng magsasaka anuman ang tenoriyal na kaayusan. Ayon sa Executive Order No. 405, ang mga layunin nito ay magbigay ng pagkakapantay ng mga may-ari ng lupa sa mga tuntunin ng kita at mga pagkakataon, bigyang kapangyarihan ang mga benepisyaryong may-ari ng lupa na magkaroon ng pantay na pagmamayari ng lupa, pahusay na produksyon at produktibidad sa agrikultura, provide employment to more agricultural workers and end conflicts over land ownership. Ayon sa Executive Order No. 407, corporation owned or controlled by the government to transfer ownership of all land suitable for agriculture to the Department of Agrarian Reform Program. Si Fidel Valdez Ramos ipinanganak noong March 18, 1928 sa Lingayen, Pangasinan. Siya ay nasa pwesto noong Hunyo 30, 1992 to 1998. Siya ang ika-12 Pangulo ng Pilipinas. Ayon sa Republic Act No. 7905 ni President Fidel Ramos, an act to strengthen the implementation of the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program and for other purposes. Ayon sa Executive Order No. 363, nagbibigay ng mga gabay sa paglalaan at paglabas ng 1996 Poverty Alleviation Fund. Republic Act No. 8435, a policy instrument defining measures to modernize Philippine agriculture for the country to compete in the global market. Yun lang po. Maraming salamat po.
So good morning everyone, this is my report. President Joseph P. Estrada, 1998 to 2000. Era para sa mahirap. This was the battle cry that endeared President Joseph Estrada and made him very popular during the 1998 presidential election. President Joseph P. Estrada initiated the enhancement of the following law. Executive Order Number 151 September 1999 Farmers Trust Fund allow the voluntary consolidation of small farm operation into medium and large scale integrated enterprise that can access long-term capital. During his administration, President Estrada launched the magkabalikat para sa kaunlarang Agraryo or magkasaka, the DAR forged into joint ventures with private investors into agrarian sector to make FDs competitive. So, President Estrada initiated the enactment of trust fund, farmer trust fund. Ang ibig sabihin ng farmer trust fund na yun is pondo yun ng mga magsasaka na pwede nilang utangin. Tapos pag tumubo yun or kumita, sa kanila din mapupunta yun. Yung farmer trust fund na yun, tinatawag ding agrikulturang makamasa. So kay President Gloria nakapag-alaro, yun naman tayo. Yung term niya is 2001 to 2010. Land tenure improvement, DAR will remain vigorous and in implementing the land acquisition and distribution component of CARP. The DAR will improve the land tenure system through land distribution and leasehold. Provision of support service. CARP not only involves the distribution of lands, but also included a package of support service which includes credit assistance, extension service, irrigation facilities, roads and bridge, marketing facilities, and training and technical support programs. Infrastructure projects. DAR will transform the agrarian reform communities ARC, an area focus and integrated delivery of support and service into rural economic zones that will help in the creation of job opportunities in the countryside. So President Arroyo amended EO number 364 of Agrarian Reform into the Department of Agrarian Reform into the Department of Land Reform. Hindi lang basta agrarian yung ginawa yun. So yun nga. So yung mga indigenous land din, katulad ng Benguet, Cordillera, and Mountain provinces. So kay President Benigno Simeon Cojuang, Aquino naman tayo 2010 to 2016, the President, are together with farmers, Catholic bishops, and other land reform advocates develop a plan of action for the implementation of the comprehensive agrarian reform extension with reforms Scarborough. So, ang problema lang dito kay Aquino, hindi niya pinamahagi yung lupa kung hindi sinare dun sa corporation under Hacienda Luisita yung pinamahaging stock. Yung stock lang yung pinamahagi niya, hindi yung mismong lupa. Last, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Yung term niya is 2016 to 2022. Under his leadership, the President want to pursue an aggressive land reform program that will help alleviate the life of poor Filipino farmers by prioritizing the provision of support service alongside land distribution. The President directed the DAR to launch the second phase of agrarian reform where landless farmers will be awarded industry undistributed lands under the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program or CARP. The current administration is committed to pursuing the agrarian reform program in the country. Also, the President became the chairman of the Agrarian Reform Council, EARC, or PAR, include long-term security in his 10-point socio-economic agenda to improve the quality of life of farmers and raise their productivity. Yun lang.